tonight. The jury gives its recommendations at the inquest into the death of a 14-year-old Saskatoon boy. A Saskatchewan First Nation fights to regain its independent status. And we meet a teenager whose passion for flowers has made his business dreams bloom.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, August 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. A coroner's jury in Saskatoon has made recommendations after the death of a 14-year-old in the care of social services. The public inquest provided recommendations on preventing similar tragedies in the future. Aishwarya Duda has our top story.
14-year-old Brandon Schaefer Kovacs was living at a Saskatoon youth care home in November 2022 when he became seriously ill. But it was several days before he was taken to hospital. He died shortly after. After hearing 3 days of testimony, including from Schaefer Kovacs' mother, staff at the youth care home, doctors who treated him, and social services, the 6-member jury at the inquest into his death has now released their recommendations. Jury members found Schaefer Kovacs died from sepsis. Their recommendations include mandatory training signed off by supervisors and managers. That includes sensitivity training for group home staff to better understand kids' needs, as well as separate logs for daily care and recording all outside communications. The coroner also recommends the Ministry of Social Services consider amending its group home guidelines and forwarding the jury's recommendations to every group home it has a contract with. The inquest heard that the youth home staff never checked his fever due to a broken thermometer, and they had little training or knowledge about how to monitor symptoms of a sick child. Doctors say he was already going into septic shock when he arrived at the hospital days later. Schaefer Kovacs' family says they're drained and overwhelmed after the emotional testimony.
I just wanted to say that we miss him dearly and loved him dearly, and that his life mattered.
They hope the recommendations will prevent other families from experiencing similar heartbreak.
It's left the family feeling a lot of sorrow and grief that they're still processing. The family hopes for the quick and thorough implementation of any recommendations to help safeguard children in the ministry's care.
The Ministry of Social Services said policy changes were made at the youth care home after Schaefer Kovacs' death that led to amendments in provincial guidelines. But nearly 3 years later, those amendments are yet to be implemented. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatchewan Cree Nation says it's taking action. Peter Chapman First Nation is looking to reclaim its independence after it was forced to amalgamate with other nearby First Nations years ago. Alexander Silberman has that story.
In the heart of the prairies, a First Nation community is trying to build an independent future.
It shows the government that we are serious.
Adam Whitehead is part of the decades-long fight to get the Peter Chapman Cree Band recognized by the federal government.
We're trying to correct that mistake they made.
But you're not waiting on the government to move forward and show your independence?
No, we're going to dance to our own song now, and we're not stopping until the government finally realizes that we're an independent band.
The community is now building 28 new homes, spending its $50 million share of a recent settlement for broken treaty promises.
This was just a canola field a year and a half ago.
So you're building a new First Nation from the ground up?
From the ground up, yeah, that's what our goal is. Well, I think it's our right to be our own community.
But in the eyes of the federal government, still a part of the larger James Smith Cree Nation. The Peter Chapman Band signed on to Treaty 5 in 1875, creating a new reserve in central Saskatchewan. But an Indian agent forced 3 bands to merge into one in the early 1900s. Nearby Chakastapason lost its land completely, also becoming part of James Smith.
We signed treaties, and yet we were stripped from our own community.
Chief Calvin Sanderson says becoming an independent band would allow each nation to secure direct funding and control how it is spent. The priority here is housing.
That light at the end of the tunnel is coming, and hopefully we can light that candle and once and for all.
The federal government says it's in active talks with the three nations to consider recognition.
It's uplifting.
Elder and former Chief Phyllis Head says seeing the first ever band office for Peter Chapman gives her hope.
For many, many years, this issue has been worked on, and it's going to become a reality.
The community says marking its assertion as an independent band will help right a historical wrong, reestablishing its place as a distinct nation on the prairies. Alexander Silberman, CBC News, Peter Chapman First Nation.
The provincial and federal governments have announced the addition of over 500 new child care spaces at Sask Polytech campuses and Northlands College in La Ronge. They're the latest in over 23,000 new child care spaces the province says have been created or in development. It's pledged to get to 28,000 spaces by next March. The education minister says spots like these will help not just kids' development, but their parents too.
I think it provides that opportunity for students, so those who are engaging in the post-secondary education sector. They might be coming here to take their ECE training, to be an early childhood educator. They might be going to a post-secondary institution to train in another field, and this provides that support for students who maybe do have kids, they got a family.
Saskatchewan is one of only 2 provinces that has not renewed the Fed's $10 a day daycare deal, which expires in March. Hindley says the government intends to renegotiate that agreement. The provincial NDP is calling on the government to work with the feds to extend crop insurance to farmers impacted by prolonged drought. Several rural municipalities in southwestern Saskatchewan have declared states of emergency because of how dry it is. The Reeve of 1RM says it has been in drought conditions for the past 9 years, the effects of which he says are worse than what the area saw during the Great Depression.
Some will probably struggle through it, but there will be those that are not going to make it through it. We need a program that guarantees us $1 per acre. How they come up with it is, I don't know, but our insurance has got to be more in line with what our costs are.
The NDP is also advocating for the creation of a drought action committee. The provincial government says it is responding by reducing the cost to lease Crown land for grazing. Saskatoon City Council has put the brakes on its free EV charging program. The city has maintained charging stations at 2 of its civic centres for the last couple of years. They were free as a way to encourage electric vehicle use, but now users will be charged over $5 per hour. One city councillor says this will give the city more flexibility in the future.
I think a lot of the problems that we're currently having exist because we don't charge. So I think when we look at, people using these things for a long time during the day, that will be less of an issue when we charge.
Administration had presented councillors with 4 other options, including ending the program altogether, continuing with no fee, or continuing with fees of $2 or $3 per hour. Meanwhile, Regina City Council has asked staff to get more information on how other cities in Canada respond to homeless encampments. Encampments are currently taken down if they violate city bylaws, if there's a risk of fire or public safety, or if there is ongoing illegal activity. One resident who's had an encampment next to her home says she endorses the current policy.
Encampments are not civil, sane, safe, or sanitary for the encampers or for anybody. I have been told literally to my face that people don't go to shelters because there's rules. They'd rather go to the encampment. Well, we all have rules. We've all got to listen to rules. That's just the way the world works.
A report with additional information is set to be discussed at a council meeting in November. Homelessness is getting worse in Regina. The latest point-in-time count estimated there were 824 homeless people in the city as of October 2024. Prime Minister Mark Carney has wrapped up his European trip after meeting Canadian troops in Latvia.
As we confront the challenges facing the world at this hinge moment in history, Canada's leadership will be measured not only by the strength of our values, but also the value of our strength.
About 2,200 Canadian soldiers are at the military base in the Baltic country that shares a border with Russia. Canada leads a NATO mission there, which includes about 1,300 troops from other nations. Carney announced that Canada's NATO presence in Latvia will continue for 3 more years. Ottawa is increasing pay for soldiers deployed in danger zones and says it is striving to replace equipment needed by the troops. Carney's trip also included stops in Ukraine and Germany. Well, another excellent day on the water at Regina's Wascana Lake for competitors in the Canoe Kayak Canada Sprint National Championships. Nice and hot, calm conditions too. The event runs through Saturday, and it looks like this weather they've been getting is going to stick around. Riley Laychuk is in after the break with a look at the full forecast. Stay with us. Welcome back. You could say that Laken Boyd's business is blossoming. The 16-year-old from Balgony has a passion for growing flowers, and he makes gorgeous arrangements that he sells at local markets. But now he's setting his sights on more than just that.
I think I'm just a regular guy that grows flowers and makes people happy. I am Laken Boyd. I've been growing flowers for 4 years now. My business is called Blooms for You. Usually when you think of a flower, you think of like girls and stuff, and you don't really think of boys, but then you have one in the industry and it opens your eyes that boys can like flowers too. I saw a video on YouTube about growing flowers and arranging bouquets, and I thought it would be fun to do that myself, so that's how it all started.
I was super excited because it was something that we could do together, and just to see the joy like on his face when he'd be out in the garden planting and picking. And
I grow them all from seed, and I cut them and then arrange bouquets and sell them to people to make them happy. It took a lot, probably like 1.5 years to really find what I wanted them to look like.
it was just something that really, I think, made him feel safe and comfortable.
It feels really good. Like, you go to like a place I sell them, which is Farmer John's in White City, and like they know who I am, and like it's been really like supportive and accepting.
It feels pretty good as a mom just to watch what he's actually doing and using his creativity, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him, and we will love him and support him through it.
A great story, and of course great weather for still growing those flowers out there, even though we're later into August. And it looks like this weather that we're getting, which is beautiful, of course, for a lot of us, is going to continue. Here's weather specialist Riley Laychuk with a look at what's in store.
Yeah, certainly another hot summer day out there, Ethan, really right across the province throughout the afternoon hours. 30 degrees in Regina, Weyburn, high 20s along the eastern edge of the province, and into the 30s even on the western side of the province. Saskatoon at 31, 31 in North Battleford as well. Heat warning in place for parts of northern Saskatchewan. High temperatures near 30, but it's also the nighttime lows that we're looking at with low temperatures between 14 and 17 degrees. So not really seeing much relief from the heat through the overnight hours even. So that's prompted that heat warning, although the thing that we've been perhaps missing in some cases is the humidity. So we're not seeing those elevated humidex values throughout the past couple of days here, and certainly we're looking at that trend continuing as we get through the next couple of days. Ridge of high pressure has really cleared us out under the sunshine today, really right across Saskatchewan, Alberta, much of Manitoba under sunshine as well throughout the day today. And this ridge really building in the States as well, and you can just see how far south and how far north our jet stream is here up into the territories, and that's allowing some of that warm southerly air into southern parts of the province, and a trend that will last. So I mean, last week before the kids are back in school, maybe this is that last push of summer weather before we get back into the swing of things. Certainly I'm looking at a cool down in the long range forecast as we get into next week. Maybe you're finishing harvest up as well. So a nice warm, dry stretch of weather certainly needed for that. As we head into Thursday, looking at mainly sunny skies, once again, really across the province, a bit more cloud cover as we head into Friday, perhaps on extreme southern parts of the province along the international border. Stray shower out of some of this cloud cover early Friday morning, but really that's about it. And we're back into the sunshine through the afternoon hours, through Saturday, through Sunday. And right into next week, in fact, we're looking at the sunshine sticking around. You can see in our jet stream pattern here, the upper atmosphere really allowing some of that warm air in, but you can see this ridge starting to collapse as we get into early next week here, and that is going to take us back to more of a reality check as we start the new work week after the long weekend. So the long weekend itself looking pretty warm, pretty sunny temperature-wise, but once we get through into next week, that's when we're looking at this pattern shift happening, maybe a bit wetter into early next week and certainly a lot cooler as well. So afternoon temperatures as we get into Thursday, looking at 29 in Regina. This is a snapshot at about 4 o'clock. Again, looking at temperatures into the 30s to the western side of the province. Saskatoon at 31 by the afternoon. North Battleford, Kindersley both at 31 degrees, and even much in northern Saskatchewan, well above seasonal for this time of the year. 29 in Lorange, that's where we have that heat warning in place. Stony Rapids also at 30 degrees. And Ethan, we're looking at temperatures like these hanging around, like I said, as we get into the long weekend, and then we'll get a bit of a break as we get into next week. I'll have that coming up a bit later on.
Okay, thank you, Riley. Well, the world's second strongest woman lives right here in Saskatchewan. Jackie Oshevsky placed second at the prestigious Shaw Classic against the world's top competitors recently. She joined CBC's Stephanie Massicott to talk about how important that result is for her and her strength sports career.
So this not necessarily qualifies me for anything. If anything, it's more exposure. But I guess the biggest part of this competition is there were multiple athletes in the open class that have competed at the Arnold Pro, Strongwoman, and then as well as the Rogue Invitational. So wow. I beat one or two of them, and one of the pro athlete women from the Arnold, she placed first. So to come 4 points behind her and beat a few other pro Arnold athletes is pretty significant. So if anything, this is just more a test to see where you stack with any international or bigger names that come to the show. So I am really proud of it just because there were athletes that do attend these big, higher paying shows that I'm trying to get my foot into. So it doesn't have a qualification. It doesn't really mean anything other than a big global nod of approval that you can hang with these girls.
Take us back, Jackie. How did you discover Strongwoman?
I had graduated university. I was all done. I had played Frisbee for the U of S women's team. And I was just looking to be competitive still because I was still wanting to get out and do stuff. I was still young. I was 23. So I was still wanting to be athletic, competitive, all of this stuff. My team was come and gone. With City League for Ultimate Frisbee, it was kind of tough to get onto the A roster, I guess, because I wasn't as fast as some of the Bunny Thugs at the time, and probably way slower now. But I was into CrossFit, which I was using as a mode of training for Ultimate Frisbee. And I stepped foot in a gym that offered strongman. And when I went for a job interview, because they were looking for a CrossFit coach, he said no to the job just because I wasn't a part of the community, which in a lot of CrossFit gyms, that's totally fair. Like, they really like to hire from within. So he invited me to come try it out for a little bit and then see if I like the gym in general, which I did. But that's also where I met my strongman coach and my strongman community for the very first time. So after I pulled the truck, I pretty much gave him my credit card and told him to charge me every month.
Well, unlike your grocery purchase, tomatoes that are overripe and squishy are the best for a food fight. It is the annual Tomatina Festival in the Spanish town of Bunol. For about an hour, tens of thousands of residents and tourists pack its longest street and paint it red, hurtling tomatoes at each other. The event is said to have originated in 1945 amongst villagers. Now the festival attracts tourists from all over the world to the small town in Valencia region. Looks like a lot of fun. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. The Saskatchewan Roughriders held their first practice of the week as they get set for the Labor Day Classic. The Riders are welcoming the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to town Sunday for the annual showdown. The green and white are coming off their second loss of the season at the hands of the Calgary Stampeders. The Bombers, meanwhile, have won 3 of their last 4 games, so they are hungry to spoil the party for the league-leading Roughriders. But 2 homegrown Riders say they are ready to put up a fight.
This one means a little different, right? Labor Day. It's a huge game in Saskatchewan, a huge game for us. And yeah, we got bounced back here, and huge for the fans too. I mean, it's going to be the most packed it's ever been here, so we're real excited for this one.
I think the province just gets really behind us on this one. It's always the favorite game. We know they're going to come out and be a heavy presence at home here, and we're just excited for it. Yeah, you can feel the energy. You can really feel the energy all around Regina, and just everyone's just getting so excited just to watch some football and have a good time. So the fact that we're going to be sold out and then some, this game is really exciting.
Defensive backs Nelson Lacombo and Marcus Sales both did not practice Wednesday after missing last week's game. And kicker Brett Lowther, whose performance continues to struggle, was absent for personal reasons. But returner Mario Alford was on the field, putting him on track to play Sunday. Kickoff is 5 o'clock at Mosaic Stadium.
All right, so I was talking a bit about a cool down coming as we get into your long-range forecast, but for now we're looking at these above seasonal temperatures continuing. Normal high for this time of the year being 23 degrees into the 30s all the way through Saturday, and this trend continuing through Sunday into Monday for Regina, looking hot and sunny for the football game on Sunday. And then back to school, you can really see when that pattern shift happens, down to 19 degrees for highs Tuesday and Wednesday. Saskatoon, very similar, looking at temperatures into the 30s for Thursday and Friday, mix of sun and clouds. Again, that trend continuing. 31 into Saturday, Sunday, then we start to shift around. We turn the gears as we see this ridge collapsing a bit into next week. So 28 for Monday, comparing that again to Tuesday and Wednesday, looking at temperatures much closer to seasonal for this time of the year for back to school. And Ethan, it will certainly feel like that fall back to school by the time we get into next week.
Sure will. Okay, thank you, Riley. And that is our news for this Wednesday. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And of course, you can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.